Okay. So for today, we have 6 stories in this event. These are stories about projects delivered throughout the year 2022 and stories from all across the world. So you will be hearing from Eric, founder and CEO of Boundaryless Group, who will be doing a short introduction to this subject. Following of course, our CMO, the introductory note from our Chief Marketing Officer at UiPath, Bobby Patrick. And then we will actually step right into the projects, and we will start with the project delivered in Florida, delivered for ChildNet, presented by Lahil Fernando and Stuart Lang from a ChildNet organization, automation in child welfare. And then we will have a project delivered by our MVP, Edward, who will tell you how we switched around operations to help accommodate 5,000 refugees from Ukraine. So this is a Support Ukraine project delivered by Edward and partner organizations. Then we will have another project delivered in India for a wellness center, presented by 2 of our MVPs, Mukesh Kala and Deepak Rai. Another project from Italy, also to do with a care center. This has to do with automating assessment of patient data. It is presented by our MVP, Stefano Negro, and we have also here a guest from the nursing home, which was the beneficiary of the project. And then we will go into our final project, which is our one project for environmental sustainability, delivered by Roche and delivered by Sylvain, which is our MVP for Roche Holding. And this has to do with a bot, ecological bot developed by a citizen developer. So it's a very interesting project. And we will close with a surprise guest. I guess it won't be a surprise much more. It will be our chapter leader from Kiev, Daniel Gushkin. He's very new to us as a chapter leader for the last 2 months. And we invited him today because he has a very interesting story to tell from this year, of course. And now I will play for you, I will stop sharing and I will, a bit, because I will play for you our introductory message from our CMO. Wait a bit. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for your dedication to making the world a better place together. I think today's event is going to be spectacular, and it's amazing to see the work that all of you have done towards this world of using automation for good. I think we're just beginning to realize the enormous potential automation can play to address so many problems and advance so many ideas. We're grateful for your time in the gathering today, for all of these great stories like Raluca, Karina, and others, and myself. I expect you also get immense gratification from the results, from the efforts that you put into automation. So with that, I'm extremely excited. UiPath purpose has always kind of been at the center of our culture. Many of you have followed UiPath for a long time, and with our founder, Daniel Dinez, culture is always something he starts off with, and our purpose and why we're here. It's a central point really of our well-being. We know that people who have a strong sense of purpose, are happier at work, they're healthier, they're more productive, they're more engaged. And we know from a 4 and 5 hour event in Las Vegas, if you happen to watch that, we had a great keynote speaker named Marcus Buckingham, who studied really how love and work go hand in hand, right? And he said, to attract and retain the best people, we must redesign jobs around a simple but powerful concept: love for the content of the work itself. And so, at UiPath, our purpose has long been to accelerate human achievement. And there are a few pillars of that, like workforce readiness and education, the work we do with our academic alliance, with universities and with K through 12. But one really important pillar of accelerating human achievement is automation for good. With automation for good, kind of think about it in 4 ways. One is that we want to leverage automation to empower the human workforce. Just as I mentioned before about being able to help people be their best, they can be more creative, and they can then use their time to do good, to advance the corporate purposes, right? The corporate goals, our corporate purpose being to accelerate human achievement. But if you're a hospital, yours is to serve your patients, right? And to provide them with great care. You also, a lot of companies and organizations have sustainability goals. So automation is ideal to leverage to be able to advance sustainability goals, which are as important today to drive, often people call it ESG in kind of corporate speak. And all of these things kind of come together to better the world. And so when you pair human ingenuity and problem solving with automation, the output is higher productivity, higher job satisfaction, and the result is we all work together to make the world a better place. And UiPath supports these efforts through, of course, the donations of our software and services and the increased availability of our software and services to support these efforts, our time, our resources. We also have an amazing UiPath Foundation, where Luca will be speaking and talking about the foundation latest as well. And it was founded to fight poverty, particularly in underprivileged communities and families, and to provide equal access to education. And then most importantly, from what we can provide is education and training around some very relevant, very powerful digital skills. And so, I'm excited when I look across the landscape of automation for good since my half a decade being with UiPath. I think one of the biggest areas that we've seen the impact that we can kind of feel very proud about is around health and well-being. Automations are being used to deploy to speed access to new services in hospitals, to advance medicines, speed diagnosis, speed clinical trials, accelerate research. A couple of great examples. I know during COVID, we talked a lot about the European Medicines Agency and the ability to reduce the labor-intensive reporting of really hundreds of pharmaceutical companies around Europe with COVID results and inventory and others from 40 days to 7 hours. So obviously that's got a terrific impact. One of the ones that I work closely with is an account of mine. It's a large cancer center in New York City called Memorial Sloan Kettering. And they have huge outcomes from automation, but they're really getting into now how automation and AI together can do amazing things. So the ones that I'm really excited about is the ability to actually reduce the waiting time for diagnosis of cancer from today an average of 3 to 5 days with an accuracy, by the way, of 62%. And check this out, to 2 days with an accuracy over 90%. And so that's that hematopathological workflow that's obviously critical. If we can make that happen, imagine what that can do for so many lives. And automation and AI is what the Cancer Center realized could go make these kind of impacts. Health and welfare of children, one of the ones I've worked with recently in Florida, the state of Florida in the US. ChildNet is on a mission to help bring foster parents and children together faster, right? And they've explored technologies for years that could do that. But it wasn't until automation that they really made a breakthrough in being able to speed and ease the entire process. And then you all are probably very familiar with the work we've done with Dentsu and Autonomy Works around helping adults across the autistic spectrum become more employable and obviously happier and able to provide meaningful work for employers. Obviously, automation for good is big in helping with all kinds of crises. We've got great examples today, as well as we've had in the past with Take Care BNB and others around supporting refugees around the war in Ukraine. Obviously, the crisis around the economy today, we have labor shortages and high inflation, high interest rates, supply chain constraints, and so on. Automation is proving to be relevant in all of those because it's actually one of the fastest tools in the toolbox to be able to make adjustments, to be able to build new capabilities, to be able to solve problems, to help address these kind of constraints. Climate, the ability to monitor and report is an easy example for ESG efforts around automation for good. But there are all kinds of ways where you can apply AI now to those workflows to really manage climate risk, right? And so there's all kinds of use cases, I think, around automation for good, and it's really kind of endless. So automation for good is really a virtuous cycle. It's about people impacting their business, and their business is impacting society, and then society impacting the benefits, impacts benefiting our planet. So in summary, I'll leave you with 3 things today. One is that people are at the heart of automation projects. They're both enablers and they're beneficiaries, right? Automation dividends should be reinvested to further your purpose. So we have to make sure that the benefits that come out of automation and these automation for good efforts which usually is productivity and time savings and dollars and employee time, and all of those things should be reinvested to further accelerate, whatever a corporate purpose might be or an organization's purpose might be. This is that virtuous cycle I was referring to. And finally, transparency is critical. Automation should be pursued in the light, not in the dark. It's very important that we all share kind of the successes and challenges on the outcomes that are delivered from automation, something that we do very, very well, I think, with our community. That commitment to transparency is critical so that we can make sure that the work we do delivers great outcomes, people can learn from it, there's kind of a multiplier effect, and that automation is always being used for good and not for bad. So I think those are the three key things. Finally, work, life, and society is all moving in promising directions thanks to automation, thanks to the work that you all are doing. And I'd like to thank, kind of on behalf of all of UiPath, the incredible efforts all of you are doing. I think, come next year, the year after, the impacts that we'll make together will truly be amazing and remarkable. I look forward to sharing that journey with each and every one of you. Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Christina. Thank you, Bobby, as well, for this incredible message. Hello, everyone. My name is Rohit. I manage the UiPath community in Asia Pacific. It's really amazing to be part of this program, not just as an organizer, but also as an attendee. And this is, I would say, one of the best part of the job I am privileged to do, where I work all the time with amazing problem solvers, and they are the people who make these amazing stories happen. And fortunately, all of them are here, and I'm sure a lot of you will keep making these stories happen in the future as well. So without further ado, I'll invite our next guest speaker, Eric Gillett, who is the founder and CEO of Boundaryless Group, to share his vision about a new modern view on automation benefits. Eric, over to you.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Rohit and Christina. I hope you can see my screen here. I'm trying to get it full screen.
Yes, yes.
Yes, we at some point in time, not too long ago, Stefano in Italy and I had a call together, and we said, "Hey, we both have some really nice stories to tell. Why not create like a community event around that?" And that got a little bit out of control from Italy to the world. It's amazing. We have all these fantastic stories here, and I think, like the theme for me is automation as a force for good, right? We see how much, and hopefully after this webinar, everybody agrees how much can be done and how much good is being done by the people on the call, but also the UiPath community. Very quick introduction, and I'll take the liberty to introduce myself and Lahiro from our team, who's presenting right after me. So just to keep it efficient. I have been the RPA team lead at UBS and the RPA business lead for EssilorLuxottica, more famous for brands like Oakley and Ray-Ban, and since about 4 years running this company. And like Lahiro is really the master that you should be listening to. He has been working, pioneering, I can say, together with Stuart Lane at ChildNet, some really good stories about how we're helping childcare organizations become more efficient, helping more children, helping more families. And this is not a company presentation, so I just quickly move on to what I have to tell you today. A lot of organizations, when they start with RPA, the first focus, and it has been cost. Right? I think everybody recognized this in 2015, 2016, when it really started. Everybody was thinking RPA is going to drive a lot of cost reductions. In the meantime, people have realized that it's more, right? And often you see what we call the 4 C's or the 5 C's. So focus on customer metrics like response time, of course on the financials, but also on creating capacity and sometimes just being compliant with risk and regulatory requirements. The 5th C is cost avoidance, which often by the finance leaders in the organizations is considered a little bit of funny money, because it's sometimes hard to prove that you like the cost you're avoiding. But still, I think it's been a fairly widely adopted view of the automation benefits that we normally work in. And then we talk about all these projects today, and hopefully, we're starting to realize there's more benefits to automation. And I came up with 5 E's. So first of all, employees, they benefit, work gets more interesting. Everyone really stands for society. And we've just been doing a lot of work with an organization that actually has the role to help its entire country innovate. So they are the innovators and the leading organization for an entire country. And some of the things they are doing are actually progressing that country, are finding multiplication into other companies. And thirdly, environment, ESG was already mentioned, better the world, like what can we do to improve there? And then enlighten. Enlighten is a little bit more than education. It's sometimes creating careers, like we are supporting students in Ghana, for instance, to have a career in the digital age and becoming technically equipped in that sense. It's also about empowering the human workforce, as Bobby mentioned. It's very like one of the things that we care about. We like our purpose is actually about improving lives, and we actually have hired quite a few, let's say, women who had a career break when they had children, and who has found something to prove to the world that they can actually they had a career in IT before, and now after that break they want to continue, and RPA is a fantastic way for them to rejoin the workforce. And then a word called equity, and equity is not to be considered in financial terms, but there's a little picture here. Equity is slightly more than equality, and I hope the picture realizes or helps you realize that. So people in need a little bit more help, right? It's not just treating everybody equally. It's the like my friend Eduard will talk about Ukrainian refugees, and I think everybody can understand what is needed there. I spoke about women who had a career break. And it's, I think, like this is a very important consideration as we progress. Some people need a bit more help, and a lot of the projects that you're seeing here today also have that theme. And it all comes back to what I propose as the 5 C's and the 5 E's. Bobby was talking about this multiplier effect, like reinvesting and accelerating. Maybe that is a way to interpret this slide. But what you're going to see is stories that have a fantastic human impact. And one of the things that I hope to realize through the session today is that it's not just sharing these 6 fantastic stories. It's actually that we can inspire you to be presenting here next year. Like, and here are some ideas of what you can do. And hopefully you feel inspired after listening to this, because there's things you can do being an employee, being an individual, and of course being a community member. And I think I speak for everybody here. If you have ideas and you need support, we would love to help you. So we'd love to hear from you too, be it to help you or be it to hear your success stories. And with that, I'll hand over to Lahiro.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Christina, for this opportunity. And thanks, Eric, for the introduction. So let me quickly share my screen. I hope you all can see the screen.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so yes, thank you. And so the first use case is actually about, it's a very sensitive use case, even for me. So as the title says, it's saving time, saving children. So with me, Stuart is here from ChildNet. So we have a couple of use cases that we did implement together for ChildNet. So let me go to the other slide. Yeah. So I'll take one by one. The first one is the foster family application. So what happens in this use case in very high level is that all these case workers, they get a lot of documentation to basically for children adoption. So in the US, you need to create so much of documentation, get everything streamlined, and then to basically find a proper house and a proper parents for these children who are really going through a lot of things. And these documents are really like 200 to 300 pages sometimes. And in each document, you can contain about 50 to 60 different document types. So basically, to process one of these documents for a casework, it takes about 5 to 6 hours. So basically what they do is they just go through these use case documents and try to figure out the different types of documents, split it into multiple documents, and finally update into one of the state applications. So it's a very time-consuming process where a lot of people are involved even in creating these documents. So in general, our solution, this is our first solution for ChildNet. And what we did is we created a document understanding process combined with advanced capabilities of document understanding, where you can properly classify these documents automatically, so that for the caseworkers, it's very easy. The classification model that we created for them, it basically reads through this document and identify the different types of documents. And the user is actually presented with a small screen where all these documents are listed. They just need to go through it and then acknowledge it. And it just takes like a few minutes. And with that solution, this 5 to 6 hour process has actually reduced to a few minutes, where the entire document is processed and split into multiple different document types. And finally, it gets updated into the state application without much human involvement. So this has given a lot of free time for them to focus on these children and find better parents for these children. So that's one use case that we have. The other one is a little bit of into administrative side of things, where we talk about the case report filings. And this is again where you have a lot of documents that gets processed like every single day. As I remember, maybe Stuart can also add in, like, based on what I have seen, like every day we process around at least 400 documents, and sometimes even more than that. So with this, what we have done is, again, here, the challenge is a bit more because of the number of documents we have. It is impossible, like in the first use case, it is impossible to, even for someone to sit down and verify what the bot is doing. So the process has to be fully automated. And for this, what we have done is, along with the advanced different classification technologies that UiPath has. And here we are talking about more than 150 different types of documents. And to make it a little bit more complicated, if you take one type of document, you can see different types of documents filing into that same category. Sometimes emails, case documents, the legal documents, and many more things. And basically, all these documents are pretty much unstructured, and it's very difficult to like figure out where these documents belongs to. But with lots and lots of effort and the capabilities of UiPath, and especially from ChildNet support, especially from Stuart, we managed to build a very amazing solution where the bot can automatically classify these documents into the respective fields. And that is basically done without any involvement from anyone. And once that is done, again, these documents are processed throughout the night, and it gets uploaded into the state applications, and it enters the data as required and get it done for them. So it's a very amazing use case. And not only that, for this particular use case, there was a huge backlog. And as I remember, it's more than 34,000 documents. And interesting thing is we managed to use this same solution without extra effort and process all these 34,000 documents just within a couple of weeks and get it processed and uploaded into the state applications and relieving all the caseworkers from that mundane and time-consuming task that has been pending for a long, long time. So these are the two use cases. And getting into a little bit more technical, we use the document understanding, we use the different AI capabilities like classification, and even sometimes the language analysis models to process and understand these documents, extract the information we need, and then process it. So, Stuart, you have anything to add on this?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Lahuru, for that. Our partnership with Boundaryless has been very beneficial to ChildNet. And by the way, ChildNet is a child welfare agency in the state of Florida. We take care of about 2,500 to 3,000 clients every year. The number does vary as families and children get reunited and as new children come into the system. We have about 400 caseworkers taking care of all these children. And as you probably could imagine, there's an abundance of paperwork and administrative duties involved with their carrying out their jobs. So the bots, as Lahuru has described these two use cases, have been of great benefit because they've taken away a lot of that clerical need from the caseworker, put it on the technology on the computer side, which really allows them to focus on what they're good at. Now, they're caseworkers. They are working on goals for families and children to reunify those kids with their parents, or to find a fit and willing relative, or a permanent adoption or foster home for them. In other words, we want to move these children out of the system back towards a permanent situation. And so when you can use technology such as RPA to facilitate that and allow the people that are really working on that stuff to do their jobs and not become computer people, it has had a big impact on our business. We also plan to do more. We have several ideas of new things in the RevMax department and other things for our case managers that we're looking forward to do. And at the same time, I think Bobby mentioned it, like, what do you do with all these savings? And you reinvest it. So these people are now able to handle a larger caseload or reunite an extra family every quarter. So it does have a meaningful impact. I can't always exactly and precisely measure it, but we are seeing the impacts. We've been doing one of these use cases for about 12 months now. That would be the case report filings that Lahuru has on the screen, and the foster family application for about 1.5 years. And we're really starting to see the benefits.
Thank you, Stuart. And with that, I also have a small video which describes one of these use cases. So let me quickly play it for you.
Taking care of families requires a lot of documentation, and managing that documentation can be very overwhelming. Workers often store the documents locally, but they are required to deliver those documents to other state systems. This is redundant and mind-numbing work. I'm going to walk you through a quick example that shows how we can use our documentation assistant to automatically upload documents to one or more systems. Here we see a collection of folders containing all the different documents which are needed to apply for a foster care license. Each type of document is stored in separate folders based on 80 different types of documents. Here we see a collection of licensing documents which must be uploaded to a state system one document at a time. The documentation assistant grabs a document from the first folder and navigates to the correct screen on the state system. It then populates the necessary document information and uploads the document. It then loops back and uploads the remaining documents. It used to take our customer's licensing specialist up to 5 hours to upload licensing application files. This can be done now in under 10 minutes. This is one example how our document assistant can help you improve the timeliness and quality of your documentation.
Yeah, so thank you very much for listening to these few use cases. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Stuart or even Eric. So we are happy to help on anything. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you very much, Rahil. Thank you very much, Stuart. Any questions for after seeing this use case? Very nice use case and impact. Anyone wants to ask Stuart or Rahil a question? I see, the compliments on the use case. I mean, we received plenty in the chat, like how wonderful this use case was and the impact of the use case. So, and I also asked you whether anyone in the audience have, okay.
Yes,
Mushtaq, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yep. Hi all.
Hello.
So I have helped an NGO. It's kind of a Wikipedia where they have they are providing authentic information. Sorry, I'm sorry for the background noise. It's my daughter.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for Rahil or Stuart?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the intervention.
Okay,
there are other comments in the chat, but if no one has any questions, then I will just invite Edward with our next project. This is a very impressive project for all of us. I remember February this year when after the life in the world got disrupted with the conflict in Ukraine, and we were all trying to reach Edward. We couldn't for about 2 or 3 weeks. We didn't know what happened to him. The truth is that he was hardworking, actually, probably, on this project and turning the operations with his company around, trying to deliver for supporting Ukraine. So this is the task force project going beyond Slovakia to Ukraine. I will let Edward present his use case now.
Thank you, Christina. And first of all, thank you everyone for organizing this event today. It is very interesting and new format for me as well. In my daily life, I'm mainly focusing on business activities. As a CEO of the company, I have many presentations which are business-like when we are speaking about success, automation, KPIs, FTE saving, etc., etc., etc. And 24th of February, I was quite shocked. And in very short period of time, I have decided, and back then it was like combination of decision and also reaction on the situation. I don't know how conscious it was back then, but I have decided to step into volunteering experience. I let my company continue without me. I took also 4 of my colleagues with me into this interesting journey. Additionally, also the whole company was supporting it. So mainly since 24th of February, I had the possibility to wear a different hat or role, which was a volunteer. So I would like today to share about my experience from this role. So I will now share my screen, and I would be happy if you can confirm you can see it, and then I think that we can move on. So please just let me know if you can see.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, we can.
Amazing. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So having that said, I would start my presentation, and I would like to start my presentation with a very important disclaimer that all the information which I will be presenting, I represent the bigger group of people. It is not the amazing Edward, or even it is not the amazing Active as a company did this thing, but there are a lot of people behind this initiative, and those which you can see on the screen are only some of them. There were a lot of call center people who were supporting us, and this all was done on a voluntary basis. So for you to understand that it was not some commercial project, but it was fully on a voluntary basis for free, and I mean, without any kind of investments. I'd like to give a credit to those people mentioned on the screen, as well as every volunteer joining this program. In addition, also, I would like to highlight some of Active colleagues who, besides myself, also joined this initiative. It is Jan Asteloš, our head of operations, Zuzana Holeciova, who is our HR manager. They joined the project actually on 25th and 26th of February, so right that second and third day after the war started. And then also we have two guys, it is Nazari Moryak and Vitaly Rutkevich, who at the very first day when the war started has managed to leave the country. Actually, one of them left it less than 1 hour before the borders closed, actually. And this guys has joined our Bratislava office, and side by side we were working together on this project, on some other activities. So I want to give a credit to also my teammates who supported me in this journey as well. And then, having that said, and given the credit, as was already mentioned by Christina, 24th of February 2022, Russia started the war against Ukraine. It frozen, I think, the big part of the world. I was quite shocked about what was happening, and still what is happening in the country I am originally from. And the day it started, this is what was happening on the borders. Just as a disclaimer, all the information, all the pictures which I will be using, not the pictures from the internet, from different events, etc., but these are the photos taken by our volunteers on the border. So as you can see, at the day it started, maybe in this bottom right corner, you can see there were a long queues on every border of Ukraine, going to Poland, going to Romania, to Slovakia, to every country, actually trying to help and save your children, newborns. Someone went with the pets, you know, like everything valuable you had, you tried to take and actually save against the war. So, and of course, besides the problem of the war itself, which is obvious, it was causing also the secondary problems behind the border. Yeah, and one of these problems was an accommodation problem. So you can imagine that like from one day to another, 5 million people are traveling out of the country and occupying, starting to live in the neighbor countries, and infrastructures of some of the cities definitely, and even countries, are not ready for that. So one of the problems which occur very fast was the accommodation problem. So, and I wouldn't read through this whole slide. I would leave it here for the reference and recording, but long story short, since 24th of February, when the war started, up till the 28th of February, it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 weekend days, and then Monday, within 3 working days of 5 calendar days, we have managed to build a call center. And here I would like to highlight, it is not a technical solution for a call center. It is not the diagram how it should work, etc. But end-to-end functioning call center, including the renting out the space, arranging with the phone providers, building up processes, how it should look like, building up a technical solution, providing our office also. For example, we were sending our developers from Bratislava, we were sending to work from home to provide our office as a hub for volunteers to meet, brainstorm, and push the project forward. So within 3 working days of 5 calendar days, the end-to-end functioning 24/7 call center was built. And here I just want to highlight what were the main aspects of it, what were the main components, and how did it work. So the main participants of this journey were, of course, first of all, refugees, which were every day crossing the border, and you cross it nowhere. You don't have where to go very often. You just appear on on a border or on a train station, and then you don't know where to go, right? So there was refugees, it was the accommodation providers. We, at the very first day of the initiative, we started to run a campaign encouraging people who have a free flat, available house, or maybe running some small hotel pension to cooperate with us and provide accommodation, be it for free or for some smaller fee. Then drivers, we had also people, amazing people who were saying, okay, I don't have an accommodation, but I can drive for you, and who were constantly traveling across the country, picking people from borders and bringing to accommodation, as well as another component was the call center, which we have built and I mentioned before. Last but not least, we were also building the system, which was consolidating it all together, because it is not only about the resources you have, but also how it is all working together. So talking of this resources and the system itself, here are the key components mentioned on the left, and how it worked briefly was that accommodation owners and drivers were offering help, so meaning that submitting requests that I have available flat, you can live in my place. Refugee was submitting the request for help. We were actively promoting system on the borders, on Ukrainian side, etc. Then it all was consolidated in the system, and I must say that at some point we also needed to prioritize. One of the challenging moments of this journey was that we were accommodating 100, 150, 200 people a day, and in the peak days there were another 500, 600, 700 left after the whole working day. When you close the laptop at 11 p.m., at 12 a.m. and 1 a.m., you close the laptop, you go home, and you understand that you accommodated, let's say, 200 people, but you didn't accommodate another 700. So we needed to prioritize people with kids, people with disabilities, etc. Then after we were prioritizing, the call center was approaching people and actually clarifying the situation, because refugees were in confusion, like you are running from war, you may have like information a little bit shifted, etc. So we were clarifying all the information with them. We were finding, in combination with system and call center, finding accommodation for them, confirming this accommodation based on their requests, and then arranging for them direct drive from the border to the accommodation. So it is combination of something like Airbnb and Uber built in more or less 5 days, but supervised, of course, by many people in the call center. We had over 150 volunteers working 24/7, I mean, in shifts in a call center. Then after everything arranged, we were updating info in the system. Everyone was getting email and SMS informing that this is your driver, this is your accommodation, you may expect this and that thing next, etc. Then there was a pickup of refugee itself by a driver. A refugee was arriving to the accommodation, and afterwards, system was generating a notification in 1 or 2 days for operator from the call center to double check how did they arrive, if everything is okay, if they need any additional help, be it material or financial, etc. And then it was based on the answers which the refugee was providing. We were categorizing this information in several baskets for different volunteering groups to help them with, again, money, food, or other resources. And speaking of the results, so through the system which I have described, like from the initial request, accommodation, driver, etc., we had more than 5,000 people going through the system, as well as almost 2,000 of them were children. So it is one of the most significant impact which me personally, I seen in technology. Yeah? So besides all this FTE saving and I don't know, the better customer experience or employee experience, it was one of the most significant for me. And also as a Ukrainian, I really, I feel very happy what we could achieve as a team. And then besides this problem addressing, there were the secondary problems which were also appearing as the war progressed. And I would like now you to encourage in one imagining exercise. It is quite negative one, but I think that's still important to raise awareness about. Imagine that you are a young girl from eastern part of Ukraine. Your city is bombed, and as a result, you decide to leave. You start your journey, and instead of traveling for a few hours, your journey would take like really several days because like the infrastructure is bombed, transportation doesn't work, etc. You spend your few days to reach the border. Then there is a long queue and you are definitely not prioritized there because, you know, like there are people with children, elderly people, etc. You finally somehow making after 12 to 20 hours of crossing the border, and you can now breathe fast, say, phew, finally, yeah, that's it, I did it. And then the problem starts. Problem only starts, yeah? So you face a human trafficking. So instead of volunteering, picking you up on the border, there were some people who, instead of helping, they had different motives to use actually the opportunity when the war started, yeah. And there were people, there were several issues recorded by also police when young women were picked up from the border and then they were raped, yeah. So our solution was also addressing this problem by, first of all, that we had quite good data set about all our drivers, accommodation, etc. We were additionally later checking with them if they arrived correctly. Every event was logged in our system, so we know when they arrive, with who they travel, etc., etc. We raise awareness in media channels. We raise awareness also on the borders. And later, in combination with other volunteers, we also were cooperating with police and asking actually regularly check who is standing on the border to pick up those refugees. And actually, another thing was that the refugee had the SMS could check what is the name of the driver, etc. So it was quite useful to have the system not only for matchmaking and like finding the accommodation, but also preventing the problems like that. What I think was also quite important. And there were also hotspots placed on the borders as well as on the train station to meet those refugees and actually stream them in the right direction. So the second problem was more related with the data mess, and here I think that it is a bit like simpler problem from the human perspective, but still from the technical perspective, we needed to deal with that. Imagine that when the war started, we didn't have the central organization which coordinates all the other organizations, and many people in parallel started to do similar things, collecting some people who may help, who may provide accommodation, etc. And everyone did it differently. So on the end, there were problems raised as, for example, the accommodation data were outdated. So for today, you submit your flat to one organization, but tomorrow you accommodate people from different organization. In our system, it was still showing as available, but accommodation was gone already because someone else occupied it. Also, even us, when we place the refugee in accommodation, sometimes like refugee left further abroad, etc., but it was not anyhow reflected or updated in the system. So also additionally, organizations were collecting information in not always in the most organized way. So sometimes it was a plain text, etc. It was quite chaotic, and we were missing information besides the basic thing like capacity, etc. Sometimes we had the people who had physical disabilities and like wheelchair. We didn't have any information about the wheelchair access, pet acceptance, and even simply when to call the landlord to place the refugee there. So the solution was the chatbot, which I want also to highlight that it was in cooperation with other companies. If I'm not mistaken, it is Amazon and definitely Deloitte. So we were creating the chatbot. Deloitte was providing the platform, and we were then later configuring the conversation, etc. So it was called Xenia after our colleague who spent some time also in Kharkiv, sheltering and hiding from the bombs as any other people in the city. And this voice bot was calling actually the accommodation in one click. By pressing it, it was able to reach, let's say, 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 accommodation providers and double check all this information. Do you accept the people, or do you have support for the wheelchair, or do you accept pets, etc., etc. So we were able to enrich our database with this information. And as a result, yeah, so it was quite fancy functionality. I will not go through it, being conscious of the time. I think that there are also quite other interesting results. But the result of this one was that we always had up-to-date data, which was very efficient for our call center, because instead of looking for accommodation, we were reducing time significantly, more than 5 times, to find available accommodation. And then few interesting facts about our call center. So there were some refugees to who we helped, and afterwards they were approaching us and saying, hey, we are in Bratislava, in the same city as you are, can we join and work in your call center? So there were refugees who were working to help other refugees for free to actually accommodating them, etc. Then KPU, Kto pomoże Ukrajinie, the organization which we were working for, was the only organization who was using this chatbot and like had one of the most actual data. We were supporting directly government and so-called non-standard cases. So when government, for example, because government also had their initiatives, but when they had issues with the wheelchair people, etc., when they had this kind of refugees, they did not have the information where to place them. So they were directly streaming it to us, and we were helping them to actually find the accommodation. Besides the other cases like many dogs, cats, and other creatures. So several organizations afterwards were approaching us, including the Red Cross, etc., to cooperate on and have the joint data pools or sometimes providing us the information they have collected on and ask us to manage that. And we were also handing over some of our processes and sharing our know-how and how we are approaching it with the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Transportation, and local governments in different cities and areas. The last problem and solution I want to speak about, after the refugees accommodated, they needed to have also material help. So we have created, and here this is part which my team was not actively participating. It was a different team. We only built one small system for them, but this was the idea that you can see on the first picture on the right side, Slovak citizens could bring the food or clothes into the center, and on the left side Ukrainian people could enter it, and it looks like a supermarket. It was also in a shopping center. It wasn't somewhere on the warehouse out of the city. It was in a shopping center, and they could pick the food as you would do it in a shop. The only difference is that you get it for free. You don't pay for it. And there were two problems associated with this. One was that very fast you had a long queue in the shopping center, and it was in all the help centers. And the second one, some people were cheating. So meaning that they were going a few times a day or every second day, picking up the food from the people who never went there actually, and could not get this possibility. So the solution was to create a reservation system. People didn't need to stay in the queue, but they could register from home. And then actually it was also checking for the duplicate records, etc. So the solution was that there was no queue. Afterwards, better refugee experience, and cheating was prevented as well. And interesting fact about this, first of all, President of Slovakia was visiting this help center to recognize our work. She's in the middle there. She didn't go there to get any kind of clothes or food, but just to say thank you for the work we did. And also talking of this help center, over 400, it is not over 400, not people, but families were receiving a material help daily, and more than 25,000 people received the help in this format. And then speaking of summary, in the way like this organization, like with all the initiatives, helped over 5,000 people to be accommodated. We have collected over 1.8 million euros in donations, which were split later between different non-profit organizations. Over 25,000 families received material help. And besides that, we also had in post follow-up initiatives running to help our refugees with psychological help, financial support, job search, and other activities. And very precisely with the time, maybe a little bit overrunning, I would like to close my today's presentation with one of the key learnings I had during this initiative. I was seeing many government or non-government organization having access to a lot of resources, be it money, be it like available accommodations, etc. But very often they themselves were a bottleneck where technology was playing the key role. So I would like to sum it up with the sentence that it is not only about amount or availability of resources that you have, but it is also about smart and efficient way of handling it, the smart and efficient way of managing it, where automation was playing the key role. So that having said, I want to thank you to everyone who supported us in this journey, as well as who supports Ukraine, because it is not only another technical project that I was part of, but it is very close topic to me as Ukrainian originally. So thank you very much. And I would hand it over to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Edward. Really, really inspiring. I mean, the chats are flowing now. I can see that. I mean, we all do hear news, and we are pretty much outside just trying to get a sense of what is really happening, and really amazing to see the glimpse of the real action that was happening on ground, and amazing support and solution, and also the idea behind the innovation. It's really hats off, and really appreciate, and really inspiring solution that you and the team that you worked with came out with. I would like to pause just for a minute for anyone to ask any questions to Edward before we move on. Yeah, you can just unmute yourself if there is anything that you want to share. It doesn't necessarily have to be a question. Nope, everyone is on chat. Edward, you'll take some time going through all of that. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I will quickly move on to our next speakers. This is a part of, this is a solution which was implemented in India as part of Anand One Wellness. So I'll very quickly introduce Mukesh Kala, UiPath MVP and RPA developer at NatWest Group, and Deepak Rai, UiPath MVP again, and RPA practice head at Litmus 7. Mukesh and Deepak, over to you.
Thank you, Rohit. I'm just starting my screen share, and let me know if you are able to see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. So first of all, the solution which we have done, it is called the Anand One Wellness Center. And I have my co-host Deepak Rai with me. Now, talking about the problem statement, a little bit about the NGO. So it is a wellness center located in Mumbai, where they take care of the patients, and it's an NGO that are not so much technology agnostic. Now, what happened during a discharge of the patients, the wellness center has to create the invoices, they have to generate the bills, they have to take care of the doctor charges, hospital charges, bed charges, other billing information. And as of today, this NGO was doing all these things manually with the help of a piece of a paper, drawing some manual invoices, keeping the stamps, taking the charges of the hospital. Different doctors charge different, so take care of the different hospital, and everything was a totally manual process, right? All of this information was maintained either in a form of Excel, spreadsheet, or in a notepad. The team used to go and calculate that at the end of the day, that what is the total, how much do we owe, how much do we get, and everything was done absolutely manual. And the same process now was being done by multiple process. It's not like only single person is doing, there are multiple people who were doing the same thing. Now, the solution obviously was to have a better receipt management system, or I would say which can expense management system, but that comes with a cost. As a automation for good initiative, and this we done for as a part of hackathon, we presented a solution. The solution was simple. The solution was just to provide an app to the users where they can actually put all the information. Not only just put the information, they can actually upload the data which they have collated, maybe in a form of Notepad, Excel, or anything. What else we have given? We have given them customizable templates. So let's say they want to generate an invoices for XYZ doctor. They just upload the template, customize it as per their requirement, and generate it. Now, with the help of the app, they do not need to go anywhere. They just open the app, key in the details, hit a submit button. The app automatically generates the receipt, the document format, the PDF. Not only this, let's say I am a doctor, I have done some services, and now I want to generate invoices and I want something on my email. Previously, all of this was done by a manual process. With the help of the application or the app, when I'm saying app, it is the UiPath app. The NGO provide all the details, hit on a submit button, and the app automatically generates an email, attach the PDF, does the calculation, everything done on a single app. Once they have done, they have option to edit, save, everything, create, update, retrieve, delete, everything happening on a single piece of app, which is called UiPath app. Not only this, auditing was another challenge for them, where they have to take care of what is going in, what is going out. They have to maintain the log of every transaction. We have provided something with the help of logs, which generate the logs that what is happening in the system, what details went in, what detail went out, what is the total, what all the invoices. So that was about the problem. and the solution provided. Next, when we provided this, what exactly benefited the NGO was that, first of all, they have now a user interface which they can interact. Multiple users can now generate the invoices. Auto calculation, they do not have to sit on the calculator, do all this calculation. All these things were just inserted in the system. They just key in the data, calculation done. That's it. Templates, different people or the vendors coming to the NGO with invoices, they have different templates. So we have built a model where they can customize the templates and generate the invoices accordingly. They can create, edit the invoices and not into a specific format. Let's say they want in a PDF format, in a Word format. That facility is also provided to them. Now they can actually send an email with the invoices to the people. Log of every transaction, as I told, and the saving efforts was 30 hours per resource per week. Now that depends on how many patients are getting discharged or how many invoices or work they got. Moving forward, this is what the time taken to process one invoice, right? So if you notice, one invoice automation is taking 1 minute, where the human user was taking approximately 12 minutes to process one record, right? So approximately, depending as the number of invoices, the number of patient increase, the number of invoices increase, this count definitely gets higher. This is what we have got from the NGO. We have got a NGO feedback that this is helping them, and myself and Deepak, we also get a certificate of appreciation from the Wellness Foundation as well. This is the app which we have built. It's on the UiPath apps. What happens here? The user comes, open, launch this app, input all the data. App does all the calculation which the NGO has provided. Now the user has option to edit, create the new receipts, generate the new invoices. It generate the invoices in the form of PDF, Word, anything. And as you can see at the bottom, we have save the PDF, generate the PDF, send the email, provide the email ID, do the calculation, everything available. And that's it. They just have to click on the proceed button. Once they click on the proceed button, the app automatically opens this template, which is pre-configured, fill up all these details, generate a final invoice, and let's say they want to send it. So this is how the final looks one. It creates an attachment with the proper invoice, send it to the respective person with all these details, right? So this was the overall use case which we have implemented, and that is being delivered and being used by the Wellness Center. Now, my colleague Deepak actually went to the Wellness Center and he has got some feedback which he wanted to share. So that is it from my side. Over to you, Deepak.
Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you everyone for arranging this session. So let me present my screen. Hope everyone can see my screen.
I'm Ankita Khade from Anandvan Wellness Center, Nalasopara West, Mumbai. We having psychiatric hospital and old age home center. Recently, we were facing difficulties for billing and customer care. Deepak Rai sir and Mukesh Kala sir help us with the solution. Because of UiPath software, now we have automated bill generation system and great customer care. Thanks Deepak sir, Mukesh sir and UiPath software.
So this is the feedback which we have received from the Anandvan Wellness Center. So generally, they are having offices in Mumbai, and initially they've started with the old age home services where they are taking care of senior citizens. Post that, during COVID, they've helped a lot to distribute the food packets. So a part of that, initially we have delivered the solution which is explained by Mukesh, but post that we have included count of foods. So generally what happened, if they will start distributing the packets on Sunday, next day might be they will feel like some of the foods are not available. So they have to take care of these things as well. So we have included one more tab where they are taking considerations like each and every thing is available within the circumstances or the places, and if something is missing, probably they will order into advance, so that they will not lose any of these missing missing food packets within the complete package. So daily they are distributing, during the COVID, they have distributed 500 packets on the regular basis. And actually I've visited for the event distribution of the process, because it's near to my place. So it's just 13 kilometers from my home. So I'm also part of that. Even I've announced on the social media platform on LinkedIn itself. So they have helped many people for the food packets. So this is a feedback which I played in terms of video. I've requested for them to appear in this automation for good sessions, but because of the time durations, they have not yet appeared. But thanks to giving the opportunity for me and Mukesh to build these solutions. As a part of enhancements, we are also working in a few of the functionalities. So they have shared some of the requirements, like they want to build healthcare reports, where if one customer is visiting at once, then after that probably they want to do the regular checkups. So based on the reports, it will suggest them, you can go for this checkup, or you can go for second one, or maybe you can go for the third one. And doctor will also see the complete report, and based on that they will suggest. So if any patients will come into the Anand Wellness Center on the regular basis, so doctor will know their physical conditions. Doctor will know which illness they are having in the past, and what might affect them in terms of their regular activities. So they will suggest on the different exercises as well. So they have given some of the requirement. Based on that, we are still working on the with Mukesh, and this will create a complete health report, and we can share with them regularly, and even they can see, the customer can also see on the email as well. A part of the accounting details, we have shared one email templates. By using that email template, they can customize it at any point of the time. So that's all. So if you have any questions, we are happy to take it.
Thank you, Deepak. Let's see if there are any questions from the audience. I expected like some questions around either how the organizations make contact with you to implement this kind of projects, or questions around the project. Priya has a question. Yeah, okay, Priya. Hello, Priya.
Yes. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Hello, everyone. Myself, Professor Priya. I am from Symbiosis. And from last 2 years, we are implementing the UI path in our curriculum, and the students are doing the project. The case study, whatever just have explained, that our students are also implementing in terms of a website. So they have connected one healthcare website to the reports uploaded by the patient. So for the present case study, I have one small suggestion, that if at all we can include the test center or test facility that will be available for the particular patient, and that also help to appoint the testing date and schedule something like that, and inform the particular patient, then that would be also helpful.
That's a good suggestion. Probably maybe we can suggest to the Anand Wellness Center if they want to include it. Definitely we are happy to add it, because still we are working in one of their requirements, and probably if they are ready to, we are okay to help them.
Okay. We are also helped to collaborate with such type of projects, because we are, you can say, have the manpower which is well educated with UiPath application and implementing on various tasks, smaller tasks. But if they get the exposure to the real-time project, then that would be a really a great initiative, you can say, between the academics and community of the UiPath.
That's great. Means if you want to collaborate with us, probably you are already having this type of solutions. Maybe we can connect offline and discuss, me, you, and Mukesh. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
I have shared the LinkedIn profiles of all the speakers so far, so feel free to connect with them on LinkedIn and network with them, especially for this kind of cases like Priya. I think it's welcome that we encourage collaboration, especially on this type of initiatives now. Do we have any other questions for Mukesh and Deepak? Okay, I see no one is raising hands and no one is commenting in chat.
Nadia.
Yeah.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much for the presentation. Hello, Christina. I have a question for you guys. Since this can evolve and you can add more new features, I wanted to know how you could manage the collaboration with the team to get their needs, to get their requirements, so you can implement it. Is there a mean of communication? Do you go and talk to them, like to see if it's working well for them, or you're no. I don't know how you communicate actually.
Yeah, sure. So the complete process is started because I like to help with the old care system. So I was presenting one of the UAPA sessions in Mumbai, that is located in Bandra, and all of the participants are majorly from somewhere around 35 plus. And generally they are having gaps due to some accidents. So few of them are held accidents during regular traveling, like train. In Mumbai, it's general because local trains are totally full and people are hanging like t-shirts. So this happens, means if you will search in Mumbai, so local trains are too crazy. So I was trying to deliver the sessions. During the sessions, one of the lady from the Anand Wellness Center is there. And that time it's during the hyper hackathon. And she reached out to us. So during that event, me and Mukesh thought, let's start this, and probably this will benefit us from the both way. It will help ahead. It will give us the happiness to help them, and even we can present in the hackathon event. So that's how it is started. Then Mukesh was in Dehradun, so I am very close to that place. So I visited that place and I found they are doing very amazing work. So some of these senior citizens are more than even 90s. They are taking care of with the help of 2% each. So, and their team size is also very big. So it's located in Virar. That is the outer region of Mumbai. So it's just 13 kilometers away from my home. So I visited that place twice. Then I understand their pain points. After understanding, I've discussed with Mukesh, and Mukesh said, hey, that we can do it by using UiPath apps. So this is how we have started.
Yes, that's inspiring really for everyone here to learn a little bit on how to start on working on these journeys. And now, guys, you have a vision for how to continue working in
yes,
like new cases, or to make it bigger with other departments.
Exactly same thing also suggested by Priya. Maybe we can include the testing, means whatever testing suggested by the doctors. Apart of that, we are working on the health report. So based on the patient's health report, a doctor will suggest, and even patients can also see the reports. So if they will have some ingredients less in into their body, maybe they will go to the doctor. Hey, I can see this is falling in my report. And we have also reached out to a few of the NGOs in Mumbai itself, and they are very happy to take it ahead with some customizations. So this is how we are reaching out to this is from our initiatives, because after building these solutions and getting feedback from the Anand we got kick. So that we can go to some of the NGO, and generally this is free of cost. We have not charged anything to them because we like to help them. So we are also reaching out to some of the NGO. We will do some customization that will not take much effort from our side, and we can present this solution to them as well. If they are ready to go ahead with this with some customization, then we are happy to share with them as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Nadia. for that intervention. Yeah, it's very interesting to hear the journey and how you map this kind of projects and to arrive at the solution. So it was a perfect question from Nadia, because it's interesting also to see like how these technical teams come to interact with the NGOs and how do they do the problem solving and then design the solution. So that's a whole process in itself of discovery and design. I don't think we have any other questions for Deepak and Mukesh. So I think we will now turn to our next speaker, which is our MVP from Italy, Stefano Negro, and also our chapter leader for Torino chapter. And Stefano has once again another project from a nursing home, which has to do with automation of assessment and assessment of patient data. So Stefano.
Stefano, we can't hear you.
Let's see something. Yeah, Stefano is here.
Yeah, Stefano. Yeah, you're not audible. I can see you.
Let us ping Stefano. So let's write to him.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Now yes. And if you can turn on
the microphone. So okay.
Yeah, it's perfect now.
Okay, I will share my screen.
Yes.
Okay, let me know if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. So hi everyone, thank you for joining us in this session. I am Stefano Negro, as mentioned by Cristina, UiPath MVP 2022, and also UiPath community leader for the Italian chapter. So I will present to you today an automation that we created for a private healthcare facility based here in Italy, which is called Villa Patrizia Nursing Home. We created with this automation with the medical staff that is made up by different doctors that works in equipped with the nursing staff to fulfill all the needs of the patients. So this nursing facility has an average of 40-45 patients at a time. The patients have different period of stay, so there is not a fixed stay that can be just for a few weeks and up to 3 months consecutively. And also the patients are of different ages and needs, so there are at the same time, for example, patients that are young and completely self-sufficient, while other patients are elder and require more assistance by the nursing staff. So it's important that all the staff is informed at every time some patient need assistance, and some patients require assistance every day, while other patients doesn't require assistance for many days in a row. So in order to keep all the staff informed, it's important to be all aligned on what are the needs of the patients. So we came up together with the medical staff and we built this automation. We created a fixed form that for every patient contains data regarding the assistance. So the dedicated staff, in this case the nursing staff, enters the date in which a patient has been needed an assistance. There are also other relevant data for the patients, such as name, the room number, and the age, and when the patient entered the facility. So after the nursing staff has filled all the forms, the physician can scan all the forms and keep a global record of the satisfied needs for every patient. And after that, using a different automation, the data are entered directly in an Excel file that is used as a report for all the periodical records and historical data for every patient. After we created this automation, the medical staff came to us and said, well, we thought about another automation which can be created, which is similar to the first one, but uses the analysis data. So we created a second form, which is again similar to the first one, but this time the form acts as a sort of passport that collects all the historic data of the analysis of every patient. For example, the blood count with formula and liver and kidney functional tests. So in this way, the physician can take the analysis that come directly from the laboratory, fill up the form for every patient, scan the form, and put the data in an Excel report that contains all the previous health status of the patient. So in this way, it's much more efficient to analyze the current health status for every patient, and also to check the historical status for that patient. So if there have been any changes, for example, in the blood analysis and so on. So we created a total of 3 automations, but for the architecture kind of point of view, the first automation is the same shared in the 2 processes. So both the automations start with users, in this case a physician, that retrieves all the documents that have been previously filled manually. It uses the first automation to scan all the documents, and the first automation creates a digitalized copy of the scan. It creates both a JPEG and a PDF file of the automation. And after that, a second automation is used, which is differently depending on the kind of form that has been previously scanned, but both the automation does the same thing. So they start with input all the forms that are digitalized, and it extracts data using OCR and generates a report in an Excel file that contains all the historical data for every patient. So this is a simple example of how the total process works. So the input is the form that has been filled by the staff, the nursing staff or the medical staff, and as output, the medical staff can check directly on an Excel report all the data regarding the patients. So both the assistant needs data and the analysis data. I would like to highlight that while we developed this automation, we never checked any of the sensitive data of the patients. So it wasn't necessary to check by us any of the data regarding name and analysis and so on. We started using a blank form, and when we developed it, we put just fake data inside it. And now all the automations are used directly by the physicians on their laptop using an UiPath assistant. So also now that the automation are up and running, we never see any of the sensitive data. So for the security and the privacy point of view, all the automation are on perfect note. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of benefits by using and creating this automation. The first that comes to mind is that now the medical staff can keep track of all the patient needs and the analysis. The staff can just check an Excel file in order to know what is the patient status and the previous record in assistant, while before they had to go on every manual sheet that had been filled to check the previous record. So the manual work done by the physicians has been reduced from 2 hours every day, which is quite a lot if you think what a physician can do other than check on the sheets the number of blood analysis, let's say, to half an hour every week, because it now is just checking an Excel file. So searching for the row of the patients and watch all the previous records. So, and also finally, all the patients' history record is now fully digitalized. There is also always the manual sheets that are stored as backup, but the primary point of view for the physician is now the digitalized files. I have here also a direct quote from one of the medical doctors, which unfortunately cannot be here with us because it's right now it's working directly in the nursing home. But she wanted to highlight how when we started working on this automation together, the medical staff had no knowledge on what an automation could do and what was the robotic process automation. So we started thinking on what was the most, the less efficient thing that they did every day, and how we can digitalize and automate the processes. After we created the first automation, there was the first that came up with the second automation. So starting, it was just necessary to learn what an automation could do. And one thing led to another. They decided to create another automation, and maybe we don't know, maybe in the future we could create also other automation to digitalize more data, and so bringing more benefits to both the staff and the patients. So in conclusion, I would like to highlight that we found out that it's important not only to think about great automation that can benefit maybe big companies and big facilities, but we can also use automation for bringing benefit and good to small, medium facilities, because we found out that in our case, just creating a couple simple automation that we as the developers took, let's say, 1 day and a half to create both these automations and bringing them to the medical staff, but also only this small automation can have a huge impact on the benefit of the staff and directly on the patients. So it's important to do this kind of event to let know not only to the developers and technicians how this automation works, but also on the one who can benefit from it. So let's say medical staff, NGOs, and other kind of healthcare communities. So if any one of you, as I said before, but by my colleagues, have ideas on how to help and contribute to create this kind of automation, or knows any facilities that can benefit from this kind of automation, it's not necessary that they are big facilities, but also small, medium healthcare facilities with just a few employees can benefit a lot from the creation of automation for them. So if you have any questions, I am at your disposal. Also in the future, feel free to write and send an email to us, and we can help in any way to make benefit through the use of automation. So thank you everyone for joining us and listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm at your disposal.
Hello, Stefano. This is Roland Varga here. Just have a quick question. Great presentation. Was it difficult to get consistent and accurate data extraction with OCR?
Yeah, thank you for the question, because it's really interesting. Well, it wasn't difficult because all the data extracted by OCR are numbers, are numerical data. So we started the OCR to just check for numbers and commas. So we just had a few fixes to do at the beginning, but then after that the OCR was working quite fine. We didn't need to use machine learning or artificial intelligence to extract data. We just use plain and simple OCR, and it's working quite good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stefano. Okay, we have another question from Umaima. Umaima, do you want to unmute?
Yes. First of all, thank you for this inspired use case. Really, I like the impact of RPA in healthcare. I want to ask which OCR used for this use case, and if you used some machine learning models, do you use the AI Center or not for this use case?
Thank you for the question. No, we didn't use any machine learning or AI Center. We used just the extract data from OCR activity. And I think we used the Tesseract OCR from Google, which is also free. So we didn't have need to pay anything. So all the automation has been done for free, and also there are no charges by using OCR on the automation.
Yes, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maima. Any other questions for Stefano? Nadia? Nadia, I think, thank you. There is another question. Something that you would have done differently if you can start again? If you would do the project again, would there be something that you do differently, Stefano? This is what interesting.
Thank you. It's a great question. I think that the major difficulty we had at the beginning was to get to know the automation and what the automation could do, because we never worked on for an healthcare facility before, so we didn't have many examples of on what could benefit directly for the healthcare. So we just started talking to the medical staff, and we learned what they did every day, and by just watching them, we learned what could be automated. So if we started again, maybe we could have more example. For example, by just listening to the presentation that my colleagues have done before me, we could present some example to them and start working directly on those kind of automations.
Thank you. Based on this last answer of yours and also on what Deepak said, it sounds like there's a lot of empathy and design thinking also in designing automation. Both of you said that you went and visited the facilities and stayed through the processes to watch the processes.
Yeah.
So it's very nice to hear that also like automation design has this this side to it, like any other good process design. I think if there are no other questions for you, would anyone have another question for Stefano? I think we can move on to the next project. This is our last project, and then we have a closing speech from Kiev. This last project comes from if you can stop sharing screen, Stefano, so Sylvain can start sharing. Comes from our UiPath MVP from France, Sylvain Boutier from My Little Boat, and this is a project delivered for Roche, and it's an environmental bot which actually optimizes a process to handle waste from pharma. I will let Sylvain start presenting. Hello, Sylvain.
Thank you. Thank you, Christina, for the introduction. So hello, everyone, and welcome to my presentation. This presentation is going to be a little bit different from the previous ones because this is not an automation that I created myself. And I'm also not the person that had this automation idea. All the tribute goes to one of the first citizen developer I had in my program because I'm leading a citizen developer program for the healthcare company Roche. So before I show you the automation and the use case, I need to give you a little bit of context. So Roche is a healthcare company, so they manufacture some drugs. And you all know since the COVID-19 that some of the drugs needs to be kept on a very low temperature in order to remain effective. So when you ship these boxes from warehouses to the hospitals, you need to put them in what we call refrigerated medical boxes. These boxes, they have some specificities. They have a very high environmental footprint because they are made of very special raw materials. And the second thing which is interesting is that these boxes can be reused up to 10 times. The reality at the hospitals is different. You know, people working there that are really busy and they don't really have the time to send back these boxes to the warehouses. So what they do is to put them in the trash. I don't know what's the situation in your countries, but at least in France, you know, the hospital, they do not have the money, they're understaffed, and people working there, they don't really have the time to do that. They need to focus first on the patients. So there was a gap here. There was a potential that a citizen developer knew because he was working in this field in the past. So there was no process, nothing existing. And actually what the citizen developer was able to do is to create a process to ship back those boxes using UiPath Studio X, which is the tool for the citizen developers. So here on the left side, you will see the process that was put in place by the citizen developer and automated by himself. And on the right side, the impact. I will just start with the process because the process is super easy to understand. There are only 4 steps, no exceptions, everything is straightforward. It's just a dream process for the professional developers as well. Everything starts with the G-form. The employee in a hospital would be able to submit what we call a pick up my box request. And then the output of a G-form would be a G-sheet. So every time someone submits a request to have a transport company shipping back the boxes, it goes in a G-sheet. And the G-sheet is, of course, the perfect input for an automation to start. So the bot would go on the G-sheet, it would read the new requests that were submitted, then it would go to DHL website. DHL is a logistics company, and then it will submit on DHL website a shipment request, and then it will go back to the G-sheet and update the G-sheet, for example, by saying that the shipment request has been submitted. If you look at the impact, it's already huge because we had more than 10,000 boxes that was sent back to the warehouses, and then that could be reused to ship back new drugs. And also every single box has a cost. It's about 10 euros per box. So the savings also is really important if you look at the money part. What is also interesting for me is that to see that this automation was created by a citizen developer in only 2 days. So in only 2 days, a citizen developer can build a bot that has a strong impact. And when I started this program, I mean, I thought about some use cases that citizen developers could build, but I couldn't imagine that there was one that would come up with such an idea and build an automation with such an impact. And of course, the impact on the environment is massive because we are able to reuse these boxes, and we just need to ship them back, and so we can reuse them. So the impact on the environment is really, really high with this automation. So I'm going to show you how the bot works. It's really easy to understand. I have a very short video for that. And what you can see already on the screen is the input G-sheet. So every time you submit a request, you get a new row on the G-sheet. So the bot will go on the G-sheet and then will go read every single row and then go to the DHL website. On every request, you have some information. You have the number of boxes, you have the name of the hospital, you have the address of the hospital. And also you have just one column to keep track of what the bot is doing. So the bot is going to indicate that he has processed the request. So I'm going to start the bot, and so you will see it working. There is nothing spectacular. I mean, don't be, you will see it's really easy. As you can see here, it's Studio X. So here you have seen quickly Studio X, which is the interface where citizen developers can build automation. So it's really easy to use. I mean, everyone can do it. And the citizen developer that built this automation had no technical background at all. And here you see the bot. So the bot was able to read the row on G-sheet on the background. And now it goes on the DHL website. And the bot is going to fill in all the mandatory fields exactly the same way a human would do. So it's, for example, going to write down the address of the hospital, where the boxes are, and then it's going to write down the destination of these boxes. So here we have something which is not going to change. The destination is always going to be the same because the warehouse is located in Germany. So all the boxes in France are going to be shipped back to Germany. And here you see the bot filling in just information about the hospital. So exactly as a human would do, I think a little bit faster. And here the bot is working on the desktop of the citizen developer, but some of you already know that there are different ways to do that. So we can also use, for example, picture-in-picture mode, so that the bot works on a different session, and then the citizen developer can also do something else at the same time. So here you see the bot filling all the information that were provided by the employee at the hospital when he submitted the G form. If you think about the process, and if you also remember the two previous presentations, you would maybe see something that can be improved in this automation. There are two things actually that could be improved. First, we use a G form as an input. We could use an app instead of a G form, because people in the hospitals, they're always on the phone. They work a lot in the hospitals because they are very big buildings. So if we want to make their life a little bit easier, they could use an app. And UiPath apps, for example, provide a solution for that. And you can also connect it directly to the automation. So this is an improvement that we are considering at the moment. And the second improvement that we could also use is to put all of this on Studio Web, because on Studio Web, you have this event-based trigger. So the bot will start automatically every time there is a new row added to the G sheet. So there is still some potential as well to make this automation better for the hospitals, the people working there, and of course for the environment as well. So I just wanted to share with you some key takeaways on this automation. I think it's really also very close to what Eric presented at the beginning around the 5 C's, 5 E's. Here, I'm not presenting automation that saves some time. Basically, there was no process before. So it's a new automation that was created thanks to a citizen developer. And here, the impact is not on time savings or saving some money. We do save some money, of course, but we have a huge impact on the environment. And that was really important on this automation. The second takeaway, key takeaway for me, is that citizen developers, basically everyone in the company can have a strong impact if they have the opportunity to build an automation. So it means that if you empower your employees with Studio X, with a license, they will come up to you with some automation ideas, and they may build automation that have a strong impact. Because, you know, there are people that are doing the task, they are doing the job, they know what can be improved on their processes, they know where are the gaps. You just need to give them the means, and they will come up with innovative ideas. So very often when I talk to companies, they have a top-down approach, they want to find innovative ideas, but just start with a bottom-up approach, and you will see you will get ideas like that I wouldn't imagine would be possible before. So, and the last thing, of course, is the impact. I mean, everyone can be automation, everyone can have an impact. You just need to be creative. You need to trust your employees because they want to improve things. They are also really concerned about the environmental footprint, especially the young generation. So if you just give them the means, again, they will be in a position to create automation with such an impact like this one. So thanks a lot. And I think we still have some time for questions.
Thank you very much, Sylvain. I see a lot of people are impressed by this, by how simple, like lacking complexity and impactful this solution is. And yes, it's the first example we have today of a citizen developer project, and it really shows like the impact of a citizen developer program inside an organization. As Emira says, quick win automation. Yeah, it's true. It's a quick win automation. And it's impressive that, yes, this was not a process before it was automated. So it was an automated born process. It's really interesting. Let's see who wants to ask Sylvain any questions. I'm sure after seeing this, I don't know, maybe some of you collaborated or have citizen developer projects or programs inside your organizations. No one? No question except congratulations, bravo, bravo, and compliments. Okay, Nadia, unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Sylvain, for the presentation. This was really inspiring. So I have a question, since we're usually talking about developers and developing big processes, automations, etc. So I wanted to know, as a citizen developer that has made like projects like these with great impact, what are the main challenges that you can face from starting to search for your ideas until you achieve and you build your project? For a new person who wants to take the challenge but is thinking about, is it for them? What are the challenges that they can face, etc.?
I think there are two kinds of challenges when you want to start a citizen developer program. The first is you need to convince and get buy-in from a sponsor, or someone from the executive committee. This automation, I mean, we use it as a way to communicate and to show them the impact. And if you remember the numbers, when you go to a CFO and say, in 2 days, a citizen developer has created automation that saves 10,000 boxes from being put in the trash and also saves the money, then usually they want to continue supporting the initiative. For the citizen developer, I think there is a lot of education to do. You need to show them what they can do themselves using a license, and you also need to demystify a little bit automation and what you can build, because some people would think it's not something for them. If you show them how to use it, what you can do, which is something I did before starting the program, people like the person who created automation would join the program and try to build something and not say, it's not something for me. So there is a lot of education and demystification to do in advance, in my opinion.
Merci, Sylvain. Thank you.
Very nice answer. Any other questions for Sylvain? Or interest regarding these citizen developer initiatives? I see there are no questions, but there were certainly a lot of reactions in the chat. Just for you all to know, there will be a recording available of this event, so you will all have the recording available following the event. And one more thing, also my colleague Moana is here, who handles our content and our developer blog. We will try to collaborate with our speakers today and come up with a blog post for each of these projects following this session today. When this happens and those blog posts are published, you will receive a notification, so you will keep this as inspiration and documentation whenever you want to use in the future. Now I think we're getting very close to ending time, and I would like to invite Danilo as a speaker. And first I will say just a few words about Danilo, because he's our surprise guest speaker today. Danilo is our newly appointed chapter leader for Kiev. He is like very young officially in the UiPath community. I'm not sure how old overall in the community, but what impressed me this year when he applied to be a chapter leader for Kiev is that he told us, okay, we knew his former colleague from Sikkim who was our former chapter leader, and he told us like he's the only one from his company to have remained in Kiev from his company. And when, of course, we ask our chapter leaders, what do you plan to do? Like, what kind of community you plan to build locally? And Daniel told us that one of his objectives was actually to find a way in which automation can help the people who have lost their jobs because of the war, and to explain to them that automation can be an alternative and give another chance to these people. So it was a very beautiful way of putting it in this plan. I was very impressed by his answer, so were my colleagues, and I thought we should bring him for 5 minutes at least today to share with you what his view is and what he has been through this year, how automation can do anything, and what's the environment for creating an automation community in Kiev currently. Danilo?
Yeah, thank you, Christina, very much for such great introduction. Hello all, my name is Danilo. I'm a Kyiv chapter leader and senior developer in Cyclone. And right now I don't have power in my home. You see it here as a lamp from a battery. Yeah. I'm charging my Wi-Fi router from a car battery, and all my devices works from power banks and so on. And that's how about 90% of people in Ukraine living now. without power for 12 hours per day or even more. We have graphics like 4 after 4, 3 after 5, and like this. And it's if not talking about regular rocket attacks from Russia side. But despite this all, people here live the usual life, going to restaurants, go shopping, visiting a cinema, or, for example, order some stuff for Black Friday. And when you're going around the street, around the city, you can hear a lot of noise from personal diesel generators from each shop, each cafe, and like it's very, sometimes can be very loud. And what can I say, that I believe that all of this is possible because of automation, starting from transferring money from card to card only in one click, or order some home delivery, and finishing with big RPA processes that can work on clouds and help big businesses working without breaks, and continue reaching money and so on, and supporting their workers. For last few years, intelligent automation became one of the most fast-growing sphere here, and our company at Cyclum had organized regular RPA school, RPA trainings, and so on to grow a big team and big community. But unfortunately, from the start of this war, a lot of people left Ukraine, or decided to change their lives, for example, join military to defend our country and their families. And one of my aim here, I really want to grow local community, to help people who lost their working places because of war, to maybe start new career, and I believe RPA can be a good entrance point to became an IT specialist, to become intelligent automation specialist. And it's for example, people can start as a civil developer, as we just discussed, citizen developer, yeah. And also another way that I want to show that a lot of company and businesses from United States and European Union decided to minimize their risks and decreasing team in Ukraine, in Kiev. And I want to show on my example of my colleagues in Kiev and Lviv, that we are all here, we continue working, we sometimes working even in dark, but almost all big companies here have offices with powerful generators, with Starlinks, with everything that needed for work and regular delivery our services. And in conclusion, I want to say that it's everything of these hard times is will finish very soon. We believe in it, and that victory is very close. And but even now, without power, without water, without heating, sometimes we continue working. We want to support our country. We want to donate money for our army. We want to keep our economy growth, and to show that we can be useful in every day. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Danilo, for that intervention. It was beautiful. I won't ask you like more things. I know at some point you said you had some slides prepared. I don't know whether you want to present anything more, but if you want, you're welcome to it. I will see whether there are any questions for you, though I believe many people are left without words after this. But if there are any questions for Danilo or anybody wants to say anything, please, this is an open conversation. Of course, I think there are many reactions like that. So thank you for describing so detailed the situation there. Of course, we never get such a personal account of the situation, like first person account, and especially from the point of view of delivery, from the point of view of an organization, of how a consultancy functions, and how it is from this point of view, like delivery, transformation, operational transformation, and stuff like that. And thank you for also sharing these aspects, which I believe are not a priority now, but they're important, I think, for day-to-day life, or for you to continue your day-to-day lives as usual. As you say, people want to get that sense of everything as normal. They want to go shopping, go to cinema, have a job, yes, sustain delivery, even if it is through power generators. Thank you very much. I will share, I think I shared already your LinkedIn on the chat. And with this, I think we will close the session today. Thank you everyone for joining. You can still contact us on community@uipath.com. I think my colleague will leave you the address in the chat, and you can certainly connect with all our speakers today through the LinkedIn profiles I shared. I will also share again Danilo's LinkedIn profile now, so you know how you can connect with him if you want to. And actually, you know what, let's also share the chapter for Kiev, in case anyone wants to join the Kiev chapter and see how you'll be doing from now on within the Kiev chapter. I think you can certainly join the Kiev chapter on this link, everyone. Thank you very much today. Stop the recording now.